the GoABitFurther Africa Virtual Campus Store. And this is the 6.0 GoABitFurther Africa Virtual Campus Store. I'm super excited to have you guys join us in this amazing edition. I love the Virtual Campus Store by the GoABitFurther Africa community. It is one of my favorite projects from them. So, but before we get started properly, I would like to confirm if you all can see me or if you can hear me correctly. So I would be checking the comments if anybody can actually see me and hear me to ensure that we are actually live before we start anything proper. So can anybody, I'm just going to wait for you guys to send in your comments if you can see me or if you can hear me correctly. Right. The GoABitFurther Africa Virtual Campus Store started in 2020, and I was so excited to be a part of the first edition where I participated as a global student, and afterwards I was able to moderate at different sessions for the GoABitFurther Africa. Yes, okay, you guys can see me and hear me. That's perfect. So afterwards I was able to moderate I think 2 to 3 other editions at the GoABitFurther Africa Virtual Campus Store, and it was so exciting and amazing for me because that was like my first, formal experience moderating sessions and speaking to young people from different parts of Nigeria. So I'm so excited about this session because it is something that is very close to my heart. But before we actually start properly, I would like us to know a little bit more about GoABitFurther Africa and also introduce myself and then the guest speaker. My name is Success Yule Areveso. I would be moderating this session, and our guest speaker for today, as we all know, is Global Temilade Salami. So let's get started and let's get this rolling. So let us know in the comments where exactly you are joining us from as we are doing the introductions about what GoABitFurther Africa is all about. So GoABitFurther Africa started in October 2018, on 20th of October 2018 by Andrew Ibinewika. He has worked with his team in designing rich and amazing learning experiences for university students across different parts of Nigeria, of which the Virtual Campus Store is part of it, and it is called the GoABitFurther Academy, providing mentorship and trainings to university students and graduates from across Nigeria. So they ensure that they design virtual and on-site stores to reach university students to learn important skills that will definitely position them in the marketplace, and they've reached over 3,000 university students. So right now I would like us to meet some of the amazing team at GoABitFurther Africa, which would include Esther. I've worked with Esther, I've met Uyi, Omar Facey, and the amazing people that are putting this together. It is one thing to actually start a project, and then it is another thing for you to, be able to do it for like 6 times. So next slide, please. So about the Virtual Campus Store. The Virtual Campus Store experience is one of the curated learning experiences for university students and graduates. And we've had like amazing mentors like Salem King, Blessing Abeng, Victoria Nwanna, Edirin Edewor, Teejay Chunu, Gusi Tobby Lordwilliams, and a host of many others. We've had up to over 5 editions, and I am excited about the 6th edition coming up on the 20th of October 2023. So this is the 2nd edition of the Virtual Campus Store, and we're so excited to have Temilade Salami join us here again. So I would like to know where exactly are you guys joining us from, because I'm not seeing comments. I can't see if people are actually listening or if you guys can actually hear me correctly. So let me know in the comments where exactly you are joining us from, what part of Nigeria that you are joining us from. I'll be moderating this session alongside with Temi, and feel free to send in your questions and everything about the Virtual Campus Store. Okay, Christabel says she's here. Shalom is here. That's really nice. Hi, Christabel. Hi, Shalom. I'm seeing you guys comment. Let me know exactly where you're joining us. So I'm so excited that you guys are here to learn and also position yourself for greatness. Christabel says she's joining us from Benin City. I'm joining this call from Lagos, Nigeria, from the great city of Lagos, Nigeria. Yes. So Neri says she's joining this call from Benin City. All right. Favor says she's joining this call from Benin City. Oh, a lot of Benin people here. Shalom is joining from Abuja. I am joining this call from Lagos. Am I the only Lagosian here? You need to rep our city. It's okay. I'm seeing more comments coming in. I'm also excited that you guys are actually here with us today. So let me also know what is one thing that you're looking forward to actually gain at this session. So for me, first thing I'm actually looking forward to gaining is to learn how to position myself for greatness, and to also ensure that I assess global opportunities that will make me meet more people and also uplift the work that I'm currently doing with my podcast and also Church on the Street and Youth Ex Youth as well too. So without wasting so much of our time, you guys should keep your questions coming in. And also, if you have any question for our speaker for today, find a paper and then also jot it down as well too. So find a paper or a jotter, get yourself a jotter, a paper or pen and pencil. I already have my pen and my book here with me, so I'm actually prepared for this session. So I have my book and my pen here with me to be ready for this session. So without wasting so much for our time, let's welcome our guest. I'll be reading about our guest speaker for us so that we would be able to know what we're getting ourselves ready. So Temilade Salami is a climate education and she's a climate and education and communication specialist. She's an author, marine biologist with over 5 years of experience leading on various youth-led environmental sustainability initiatives across Africa. She is the founder and executive director of EcoChampions, one of Nigeria's largest networks of professional environment leading environmental change through tree planting and ocean conservation advocacy, plastic waste management, and environmental education in Nigeria. Her contributions to environmental policies and practices has been recognized in different formats. She has been named as a 2020 Nigerians 25 under 25 leader on energy and sustainability, 2018 LSA EPA ambassador against noise pollution, 2018 Idea of African Talent for the Future, and a 2018 US Consulate Carrington Youth Fellow. She's also a Chevening Scholar. Earlier today, we were celebrating one of our friends that also won Chevening Scholarship. So she's also a Chevening Scholar, and she went to the University of Success, where she did her master's in environment. And also, she is the founder of Light and Curtains. She has an amazing business called Light and Curtains, and I am currently repping the Light and Curtains brand. I don't know if you guys can see my shirt. It's actually called Woman of God Shaking Things Up. So without wasting so much of our time, I want us to welcome Temilade with a fire emoji in the chat. Let us all have a fire emoji in the chat. I want us to welcome Temilade Salami to this conversation with a fire emoji. Let us welcome Temilade Salami. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this with us and for joining us for the virtual fireside conversation. I'm so excited to be talking to you live after how many years?
Thank you so much. First of all, I want to ask if this is a public call, like it's not meant for like maybe your community. So if it's not a public, like if it's a public call, please share this video, like the link to this video to your friends, everybody. Just let them know that something is going on. And please, I would like the comment section. It's already hard that we can't see ourselves. So please, let's keep that comment section rolling, or else I'll stop talking. And I know that you guys don't want that. All right, I love it. If it's a public call, please share the link to your friends. Tell them that Timmy is on the call, and we're about to learn and go global. So go a bit further. Ask me. They dragged me to come and do this call, but I'm so excited because I get to speak to like a lot of young people like me on the available opportunities that they can access either locally or globally. So today we're going to be talking about how to position for global opportunities. Please let me know if you can hear me properly. Just type I can hear you in the comment section. So somebody type it is time to go global in the comment section. Let's keep it rolling. Let's keep it rolling. Go global. Amazing. So today I'll be sharing with you on how to position for global opportunities. And I use the word global opportunities. There's a positioning to access some of the things that you want, right? So get your pens, me. Anything you know you can use to write. Even me as a speaker, I've been writing. I don't know what I've been writing, but you get it. So anything you know how to write with your iPad, going to be sharing really, really amazing nuggets with you. So let's kick the ball rolling. If you see my eyes moving like this, I have my notes right in front of me. So pardon me. So there are three questions you need to ask yourself when it comes to going global. The first one is, why do I need to go global? Who do you need? The second one is, who do you need to become or evolve into to go global? What ways can you go global? And then the final one, just like topping on the cake, what platforms and tools are readily available for you to go global? For what reason? What is your motive? Is it to earn in, dollars? Is it to position yourself as a, is it just because you like traveling? It's fine if that is why. Anyways, to go global. So the you as a person, you do not change. When I say you do, there are certain things Tammy needs to do to be able to like access some opportunities. There are certain skills she has to take on to be able to access some opportunities. So, what do you need to do to access those global opportunities? And then what ways? Because there are several ways. Some people have traveled abroad for school. Some people have gone to do their masters. Some people like me are living in Nigeria and globetrotting. So there are several ways to go global. And then the last one, what platforms and tools are readily available, right? Um, so I'm very sure that we've written that in our notes. So let's start with why. If I may ask, if you're in the comment section, why do you want to go global? And I think it's a very important question to ask yourself because it's going to literally be the motive behind everything that you're doing, right? Why do you want to study abroad? Why do you want to, like we call it, jackpot? Why do you want to, access global opportunities? Is it to show that I have finally arrived? Is it to show the world that you know how to travel? Is it to show that, you are the best person in your industry? So it could be for access to international opportunities, which is a legitimate reason. It could be to unlock new sources of income, like I've done. There are clients that I've worked with and they paid me in dollars because it's nice to collect money in dollars anyways. So is it to get ahead in your field? So list all the reasons. Um, Great. So who do you, when you sort the reason in your mind, honestly, I can't be in your mind. So you know the reason, but just make sure that the reason is something good enough to, keep you in the game. So let's get to the chase. Who do you need to become to go global? So there are three pivotal things you need to do. First of all, you need to be an excellent person. And when I say excellent person, I don't mean okay, let's just join things together. Let's see how it goes. You need to be an excellent person. And one thing about excellence is that it is a recognized, trait anywhere. It is a recognized key anywhere. Either you are black, oh, you are white, oh, you are Caribbean, oh, you are 18, you are 25. If you are excellent, it is a language every single person in the world understands. I'm very sure that there are so many of us that we've seen some things and we're like, oh my goodness, this thing is so good. And it's not just because that's the way you're seeing it, it's because everybody can clearly see that it is so good. So you don't even need to explain yourself. So you must get to that place where you become an excellent person. There's so many, but these are the three that I really hold dear and I've used in my own journey so far. The first one is discipline. And this is super important, especially for mid Gen Z millennials. There's this thing we talk about. Oh, why didn't you do this task? Oh, I was not motivated. Oh, I didn't feel like. Oh, I'm not sure. I was not just, it was not just given. But you need to realize that to become an excellent person that wants to go global, you need to be very, very disciplined. And when I say discipline, it means doing what you need to do part time at the time you ought to do it. Very good example. They are so, e.g., this call, like I said, Mr. Andrew dragged me. But I'm so glad that he was really persistent with it. And Is discipline that made me leave where I was earlier, that I could have stayed a little bit longer to come on this call, because I owe my integrity to him. I owe my words to him to say, oh, I'm going to be on this call. I could have just said, oh, I'm somewhere, I'll join in an Uber. But I know that I've put my word forward and my word is as important as me, right? So you need discipline, doing what you need to do part time at the time you need to do it, and doing it excellently well. So it's not just, okay, let's just rough it. Doing it in a way that you're, you know, what you're doing, everybody can say it and they can say that it is excellent. Number two is ruthless execution. So I'm going to give you a very good example. There was a time I was speaking to somebody, and I think the person wanted to get a scholarship, and I wasn't reviewing scholarship, anymore, for so many reasons. Number one is time consuming, and so many other reasons. And I decided to just review this person's own, and I told the person specifically, this is what you need to do. Put all of work and then send the link to me so I can access, add comments and things like that. And the person, just dumped all the essays. It shows you that regardless of who is even trying to, help in that regards, able to help at that time, because what you have done is not something I can work with. And if they've given you a task, A is for effort, and A plus is for result. Do it to the point that even if they find fault, it's probably because maybe work together with somebody that didn't do their own part of the job. But make sure that whatever you are doing, you are ruthlessly executing somebody in a team. You know that thing that they call I too know? It's us in Africa. Me being me, to be very honest, is me being Tammy, is me being excellent, is me going overboard. Oh, they said we should way that when you read it, it's going to be appealing to the person that is reading it. I'll go the extra mile, not because I want to show off to anybody, but because that is who I am. Execution. Then the third thing, the first one I mentioned is you need to be a disciplined person. So motivation is for people that are just coming up. I'm not motivated. It's for babies. It's only babies that they give birth to and they say, today, give me another thing, and they will do and they will cry. Their mother will give them another one. But as an adult, you have responsibilities that you have to be in, right? And the second one is ruthless execution. You have to do every task that you're given, at the time you're supposed to do it, and do it well to the point that. Then the third one is integrity, right? This is super important. If you want to operate on a global scale, it starts from the little things, right? It starts from saying you're going to submit a document by 8. I have submitted the document by 8:30. Things. Saying the truth. When I say saying the truth, people can hold on to your word. They can say, oh, Yole is going to get to this place by at 4:30. Of course, there are times where, of course, technology and all those things, but make sure that integrity becomes a huge part of you. Because one thing, one tradable language in the global scale is the fact that people can trust you. People can leave things to you and trust that you will get it done, and trust that you will keep to your word, and trust that they don't have to chase you about. So if you don't take care of your local, your local integrity, your global integrity is going to crash, right? So you need to make sure that anything you're saying in any place you're working at this time, or anything you're doing, either you're running a business, make sure that people can hold on to your word and take it to the bank and say, Temi said this thing, she would do it, right? So going global first has to do with your character, to be very honest, before skills. For me, Sha, it has to do with your character before skills, because most of the time, even when the skills get you in the room, it's character that sustains you. And most of the time, people don't necessarily care about your skills on the global stage. At least the first time they meet you, they want to know who you are. They want to know, how you relate with other people. So character comes first for me in anything, right? So this comment section, we're sleeping. Let's keep it moving. If you're getting anything, please type it in the comment section. So what do you need to go global? We've talked about who you need to be. We've talked about why you want to go global. Still on who do you need to become to go global? I've said you need to be an excellent person, and I mentioned three traits of an excellent person. The second thing you need to do is you need to be a knowledgeable person. And when I say knowledgeable, I mean it to the core. And that is one thing that sets you apart from every other person. That is one thing that makes you distinguished. That's one thing that makes people go, oh, this lady is really doing an amazing job. It's not because you're there. So I always tell people, it's not because there's something like very, very special. There's so many special people in the world, many people doing the work that I do, right? But the extra mile is what makes the difference. You reading up, you being knowledgeable about the field that you're in. So if you say, oh, I work in give me one field in the comment section. I'll wait for give me one field. Where do you work? What sector do you work? Give me one sector. Real quick, real quick. I don't want to use my own sector because it's climate change. So give me one sector. I'll be waiting. All right. If nobody talks, I'll just pick a sector. Great, great. Education. So let's say you work in education. Right now, what are they discussing about education? What are the priorities for education at the global level? What are the priorities for education on the national level? What are the priorities for education in your community? What is the world saying about education right now? For me, I work in climate change and education. So at the intersection of both of them. But like my major is like climate education, right? So if I wake you up today and I say, oh, you work in education, um, do you know anything about education in emergency? Do you know anything about education in crisis? Is this something you can wake up and tell me without thinking about it? Even me that I'm not working in education, I know about these things because these are literally things that have been discussed, in the global space in the past few years, and that's because of COVID and all the things like that, and also like insecurity, and now we also have climate change induced displacement and things like that. So do you know all those things? So if you can't tell me in an instance, there's so much work to do, right? So if you say you work in a sector, what do you know about the sector? Oh, are you just running an NGO, or are you just working in a particular sector you absolutely know nothing about? Do you know anything about early childhood learning? Do you know anything about learning by play? These are things that literally organizations like the UN are talking about, multilateral organizations. So if you cannot tell me at this point and you work in that field, it shows that there's so much for you to still read. There's so much for you to learn because what you know in Nigeria is only sufficient for Nigeria, right? And when I say it's only sufficient for Nigeria, there's a clause to it. Of course, what you know can be transported, but at the level of what is happening in Nigeria, it ends in Nigeria. So you might go to another country and their problem with education is the fact that, oh, maybe their Ministry of Education has pumped like 40% of their budget, but now they need it to up to like 50. But in Nigeria, you're even still struggling with how many percentage. So the realities are different, and this is how to become a global person, by making sure that you are in tune with what is happening on the global stage. So if you're going to play on the global stage, you need to know the issues on the global stage and how you can make sure um and how you can bring those global issue and localize them into the context of your own country, right? So you need to be a knowledgeable person. Very, very, very important. And then you also need thought leadership. So if you say you're in education, if you think about, oh, let's work with somebody in education, let me even leave it at top 30. Do you think your name will come out? Be truthful to yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, right? And this is not about bragging, right? To be very honest, it just shows you that you've put yourself out there as a thought leader to the point that people see you as the go-to person for everything that has to do with education, right? People see you as a go-to person for anything that has to do with media. People see you as a go-to person for anything that has to do with even content creation. People see you as a go-to leader for anything that has to do with whatever you're doing. If I mention content creation here, I'm very sure a lot of people know Salem King, except you want to deny it. A lot of people know Salem. How did Salem do it? By being consistent, by being knowledgeable and sharing that knowledge that he has to people like you. And that's how to remain a thought leader. And also being proactive to share the things and read ahead of the people that would probably not do the things that you're doing. So if I come outside to say, oh, there's something called learning by play, which is a huge, discourse right now on the global stage. Oh, how can we infuse playing and learning into education and things like that? It might sound like very alien to you. If I come on Instagram and come and talk about it, oh, you think I'm an expert. But the reason why you don't know it is because you've not read about it. But because I've read about it, now I have a upper hand, about the information. I'm able to come and share it. People now see me as a go-to person to say, okay, right? So you need to be a knowledgeable person, very important, and you need to be a valuable person. Anytime you go into any setting that you see global leaders, let me not even talk about global leaders, even your peers, you go to events, you go to conferences, even in your thoughts should not be what can I get from people every single time, right? Oh, what can I get? Oh, what can I do? Oh, oh, can you give me your card? Can you do this? Always strive to have conversations with people. Always strive to see how you can contribute. If I meet somebody working in climate change in another country, oh, I want to be genuinely interested in what you're doing. I want to know how I can help. Oh, is there anything I can do? Can I advise you on your social media strategy for things like that? And I'm just looking to give value. And the thing is, when you start giving value, you become indispensable. People see you as, oh, there was one lady I really met to, and she said she was going to help us with our social media strategy. Now, even if that person had met 100 person at that event, you remain top of mind for them. And that is because you have offered value to them. And it's not every time you actually see people and you feel like, oh, there's something to give them. That's absolutely fine. You can also ask for their cards if you have something really meaningful to discuss with them, and it's not something that's going to take away a lot from them. So always seek to give value every time in any space that you find yourself, right? So I'll just go very quickly. What do you need to do to become a global person? There are 10 things you need to do. Well, there's so many other things, but these are the 10 things that I wrote down. You need to be intentional and set goals, right? So let me say this is 2023. You can set goals like, oh, in the next 4 years, I want to become the go-to person for everything education in Nigeria. It's possible. It's not even bragging. You're not trying to show off. It's just you being at the top of your game in your career, right? I want to become the go-to person for marketing. I want to become the go-to person for media. I want to become the go-to person for everything that has to do with virtual reality, AI, right? So you need to be intentional and set goals. And don't just say, oh, I think I want to. Put it down, set professional goals. I don't have the time, but like, I have a whole drive of my professional goals for 2023, which I've even hit a lot of them, and I've even passed them. But the reason why I know that I've passed them is because I wrote it down. So if me, I can write goals down, I think you can also do so. And it's not, you don't need to write a lot of things. You could take it quarterly. Oh, for the next 3 months, this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be taking courses on education and AI. I'm going to, talk to somebody. I'm going to allow this person mentor me is in discussion now. Oh, how does AI ties back to education? What is the ethics of AI? How do we ensure that when we use AI in classrooms or when we use AI in education, we maintain ethical positions with it? So you need to is to start reading. There's so many resources, and I tell you for free, so many resources that you can access on subject like this. I'm saying so you need to start reading and be intentional and set goals. So for me, I have goals of like reading certain articles for a period of time. I have goals of reaching out to some people, set of people, in my field. I have goals of partnerships. I have goals of, even travel goals, to be very honest. Right. So understand and leverage your strength and skills. So for someone like me, I'm very good with mobilization. I'm very good with selling. I'm very good with pitches. I'm very good with quite a number of things, but there's some things I don't like to do that I'm not so good at. When you talk about, data, Excel sheet, do them when the need arrives. But like those are not my strength per se. But what one thing I always do is if I know how to do something well, I'm going to keep doing that thing. I would now be doing what I don't know how to do. So some of you here, there's so many skills you already have. All you have to do is to keep hitting the nail on the head of that particular skill instead of looking for new ones. I've seen a lot of young people take ridiculous amounts of courses, and I'm like, you know what, it's not just the acquisition of knowledge, it's also about how do you use what you're acquiring, right? Very, very important that you're not just swallowing things, you're not just reading and reading and reading without even applying what you're reading, right? So you need to, your strength of your skills and know that the things that you cannot do, you don't pay so much attention to it. Do you understand what I'm saying? The ones that you are doing well, keep at, you know how to like, do marketing, keep at it. If you know you don't know how to do content creation, but you're very good at marketing, be the go-to marketing person. I'm saying this because most of the time we always look at the things that we don't have, that other people have, and we literally forget that some of the skills that you have, right? So please leverage your strength. Look inside. There's so many things you can do. I bet you like naturally do hit on those things, right? And the next one is the third one, stay consistent and visible. And I think I'm going to break some tables here. They call us Indomie generation because I don't belong there. You know, in this is like 3 seconds, and even platforms with infinite scroll span to reduce very well, where you're just watching a video, you can't even keep yourself for 2 minutes, for 1 minute to read an article, for 4 minutes to read something. If the caption is long, you've scrolled past. You need to stay consistent, right? You need to leverage your strength. You need to understand that consistent intensity. But when the two of them are now joined together, oh my goodness, it gives you maximum results. So we knew that you were doing education last year. Last year is even too far. Last 2 months. Tomorrow you're doing another thing. Next 3 weeks you're doing another thing. You give people room to say, okay, what exactly is she now doing? I know that sometimes you're still trying to find your feet. If you just graduated and you're trying to find, I've worked in advertising agency, I've worked in a climate change communications agency, I've worked in different places. But like, even in the course of that, there's one part of my life that consistently, shows out there, and people can say, this is what Tammy does. And that's about climate change. Everybody knows that this is what I do. Everybody knows that this is where this is my field. This is where I play. This is where I do everything that I do, right? There are other parts to me. I run my business, but everybody knows that there is a Temilade Salami for, climate change. You need to have staying power. You can't jump from one thing to another and say you want to become a global citizen. If you check majority of the people that you probably admire internationally, these are people that if you go and check their track record. So let me use education for example. Some of them, they've been education programs manager for maybe one local NGO, and then they graduate to become director for one national NGO, and then they graduate to become maybe communications for education, in an international NGO, and then they move to like all those big bodies that There's always track record. So even you, if you go to LinkedIn and you see somebody in education that worked in media last week, that worked in education this week, and is planning to work in climate change next week, if you are going to hire that, between those two people that I've mentioned, who do you think you will go for as an HR person? Be very honest with yourself. Please give me 1 second to put off my video. I'm waiting for response. Great. All right, I'm back. So how would you feel if you're the HR person? Would you hire the person that has been everywhere, or you'd hire the person that has been consistent over time? So you need to ask yourself, am I consistent? And beyond being consistent, am I visible? Don't let anybody lie to you that you're showing off. Show off. That is the life you have been called to live. Show off, because even if you're the best of the bestest, like we say, of the best and best in the industry, and you're just in one corner of your room, nobody knows you. Nobody's going to know you. And that's just the truth. But until you shine your light and you come out to say, this is what I do, these are the things I'm doing, That's when people will now say, oh, wow, we know one girl. But the way for you to be known is for you to stay visible, right? So let's imagine that this room is dark. I don't want to switch off the ball. But let's imagine that this room is dark. You can hear my voice, but you can't see my face. That's how some of you are operating. You have so much beauty, you have so much skills, so much talents hidden in you. But because, oh yeah, what will the world say? Will they say I'm showing up by posting my travel videos? Will they say I'm showing up by posting my videos? Will they say I'm showing off by doing you in fact you've killed yourself before arrival. Right? So shine your light, be bold. I don't think anybody would like it if I switch off this light. So if you don't like it, why are you hiding? That's a very good question you need to ask yourself. So it's one thing to also be consistent, is another thing for you to shine your light. Then the fourth thing, embrace continuous professional development. Stay hungry and don't get comfortable. The moment you say you have arrived, you have actually arrived and there's no going forward. I always say this a lot. So stay hungry. There's always more to read. What you've read yesterday is not sufficient for tomorrow. What you know yesterday is not sufficient for tomorrow. See, it can work in your local community. But on the global stage, everybody is moving like this. You can literally be in a room today with very high level people, and the discussion tomorrow is evolving into something entirely different just because of an article that was released overnight. And then you're in the room the next day, you're like, okay, what are they talking about? I thought we were, so you need to stay up to date. What you had yesterday is not sufficient for tomorrow. If you have your bath every day, there's nothing stopping you from, continually developing yourself, right? So you need to embrace continuous professional development. Don't get comfortable. What you know last week is not enough. There's a lot of things that has happened between last week and this week. And I'm not saying go to, CNN and start watching things that makes you fearful. And no, that's not what I'm talking about. If I were in education, there are newsletters I would subscribe to, newsletters of people like UNICEF, of organizations like UNESCO. These are organizations that deal with like education, of organizations like the Global Business Coalition for Education, of organizations like Global Partnership for Education. These are top global organizations that talk about things that are happening on the global stage as regards education, right? So the next one is put in the work and show up ready. Always show up ready. Always show up ready. The reason why some of us also, like some people don't have access to global opportunities, it's not necessarily because you are not good. It might just be that it is not the right time. Because I feel like if I'd had the opportunity I had now, last 6 years, I would have messed up, right? The tell me of last 6 years, like if I plug in my earphones to listen to some of my videos, I'm like, who was listening to me? Like, who was sharing me? Were you people lying to me? So that's the way it is. So you need to like show up ready. Don't let them invite you to places and you don't know what you're saying. I always tell someone, if you wake me now, okay, tell me, come and talk about climate education. You are going to be tired because me, I will keep on going. I will keep on going. I will keep on going because I have so much residual knowledge about it, right? So much residual knowledge. So that's how you're supposed to be, because it's not every time you will have time to prepare, right? Most of the time, if you're a soldier on field, it's not on field that you are learning how to, insert your bullets and things like that. You've already trained yourself. Now, when you're going to the global stage, you're not blabbing and you're representing us well, right? So I've had videos of me like in different platforms abroad and things like that. And when I post them, people are like, oh my goodness, I'm so proud to be a Nigerian. Let that be the case, to be very honest. And that's because you're either you like it or not. Let me tell you the truth. On the global stage, you're not representing yourself. You're representing everything you're representing back at home. So most of the time when I travel and I have speaking engagements, you hear things like Temi from Nigeria. They will pack you, only you from Nigeria, just you, Nigeria. So whatever you do in that room is a reflection of who you are and where you're coming from, either you like it or not. It's the same thing that will make some countries not give visa because Nigerians. Meanwhile, what did I like? You did not do anything now. Did you do anything to not get visa? No, you didn't. It's not you that did all those things. But because some people have wrongly represented us in some spaces, now they will put everybody together. It's the same thing when you get to global stage. You are representing a community. You're representing a nation. So don't see yourself as a small person. Always go ready. always go ready. I always say it. There was an event that I went for, and it happens to be that the ministers of education in Nigeria, like two, a minister of education and I think a head of state or something, like they were also at the event. And I could literally see the pride in their eyes, like, oh my God, that girl is from Nigeria. Wow, well done. When I got off the stage, they were greeting me, they were, saying hi, we exchanged pleasantries, we were talking about the work they were doing and things like that. But I imagine that I messed up. Nobody would have wanted to associate with me. So the way to prepare is to start preparing now. So imagine yourself in the front of a global audience. You don't prepare how to speak at the UN. You don't prepare how to speak on that big stage. You prepare how to speak from your mirror. You prepare how to speak from speaking, in meetings, from speaking in gatherings, from speaking amidst your friends, from speaking amidst people that you like and people that want to listen to you, even people that you don't like, from sharing your opinions, from not keeping yourself mute when there's a call going on, from not saying, oh, I don't have anything to say when they say, please, do you have any suggestions? No, that's not how to do it, right? So that's the best way, to um leverage, to embrace continuous professional development. Stay hungry and don't get comfortable. I'll run through the rest. Leverage the right digital platform. So you have, you know, an arsenal of tools at your disposal. Instagram, I cannot even count how many opportunities I've gotten from Instagram just by showing up. So don't say, those platforms are not for me. They are for the amplification of your work. So it's okay if you don't want to post anything personal. That's absolutely fine. But like I said, nobody lights a candle and and put it under a bed. Nobody will put on a candle here and go and hide it on that shelf. So if you will not do it, why are you doing it for your work? And the excuse is, oh, I don't want to share anybody my. Nobody is saying you should come and put your personal life on the gram. I'm just saying if you're working and you want to go global, except you want to do your local thing, good for you. Your lay is here. If you're applying for global opportunities, don't they ask for your Instagram handle? Don't they ask for your Twitter? She's here. In fact, they asked now. There was one I applied that I was filling a form for. They were asking for TikTok. I'm like, I'm not on TikTok, please. I'm not on TikTok. So these organizations ask for these handles, right? Um, so the next one is evolve and build a personal brand. So how do you want people to feel when they come in contact with you? One of the major things, I told myself, and when I say personal brand, I don't mean like Canva branding. I mean you as a person. That's what I think about personal branding. How do people feel when they come across Temilade? That is personal branding for me. Do they feel happy? Do they feel joyous? Do they feel, oh my goodness, I'm inspired? So how do you want people to feel when they see your page? How do you want people to feel when they see your work? How do you want people to feel when they even see you yourself at events, right? If you know me very, I'm a very colorful person. My outfits, when I go for events, I wear my colorful outfits. It makes me stand out. So most of the time I get compliments like, oh my goodness, you just added like brightness to my day. And all these people know how to give good compliments. I love them so much. So I want people to feel happy when they're around me. I want them to feel safe. I want them to feel seen. I also want them to feel very inspired, right? So you also need to work on that. How do you want people to see you? Of course, there's so many times you can't control how people see you, but I'm saying that you yourself, how do you appear? If you're being called for a meeting, if you're being called for an event, how do you dress up? What do you wear? Do you wear, remember now, I had a TV interview when I was in Unilag and I wore slippers to TVC, your popular TVC. And I think one of my friends called me, was like, Timmy, what is this? I'm like, it's just because I've gone to TVC like 4 times. So I'm like, please, please, please. Like, this is the fourth time. There's nothing to. And she was like, no, you need to pay attention to little details like that. You can't wear slippers on a do you know how many people are watching TVC in Nigeria? Millions of people, right? So it's perception. You're creating a perception in the minds of people, either you like it or not. So I'll run very quickly. Network efficiently and build a community. Ask questions, share the things that you know, share about them. Ask questions, build a community around that. Let people know that, oh, they can come to you for like certain questions. If you have the time, you can respond to them. And also, play the long term game. This is second to last one. Play the long term game. The way to remain top of mind is to play the long term game. How many of us know St. Louis Sugar here? I'm very sure everybody knows. How many of us know Titus? We know. The only reason why you know Titus is because Titus has been existing before they gave birth to me. Titus is still existing. After they gave birth to me, I'm very sure that even the generation to come after me, Titus will probably be existing. And the way to remain top of mind is to play the long term game. You cannot do one thing today. Tomorrow we are doing another one. Next tomorrow we are doing another one. That is not a long term game, right? And the last one is document. Document. I cannot overemphasize this. Every year I always do a rundown of my year, and I have a lot of videos to show how good God has been, to show how good God has been. And I'm like, I always tell people, if you ask me video of where I was, maybe last year, August, I have it on my phone, right? I have pictures. Because if you don't document, how will you even know that you're growing? It is what you have measured that you know if it has grown. So if you didn't know, oh, I read 3 books last year, if you didn't write it down, how will you know if you've grown and read like 6 books, this year? So you need to document, measure your progress. Very, very important, because some of you are actually progressing, but you are not measuring. That's why you think you're not moving forward and comparing yourself to other people. So I'm very sure some people have questions for me. That's pretty much everything. Thank you.
Oh, that's so nice and amazing. Thank you so much, Temilade, for sharing. Thank you. If I've been asking in the chat, so if you have any questions for Temilade, please let us know. And if you know that you got something from this conversation, write in the chat. I am ready to go global. I'm ready to go global. I want to see your responses. I am ready to go global. See, I'm with my pen. Even the moderator even came with a pen and a book and see the pages. I'm not sleeping. I've been writing since. So put in the chat. I am ready to go global. I am ready to go global. To tell you how prepared I am. Temilade and I were actually twinning. We're wearing the same colors, yellow and yellow. So if you are ready, amazing. I'm ready to go global. I'm ready to go global. Okay, while we're waiting for people to send in their questions, because I'm actually prepared for this session, I also came with questions. So if you know you don't want me to use the remaining time to ask my personal questions, you better ask your questions now in the chat. So ask your questions. I think people are sending in their questions. I'm seeing the comments. I'm ready to go global. I'm ready to go global. Amazing. Putting your questions in the chat. Okay, so my some of the questions that we had. Oh, Temilade just dropped off. So you guys to keep on putting in your questions, and then we'll definitely be able to answer them. We hope she'll be able to join us back. Hopefully, she will be able to join us back. So, what are the 2 things that you actually got? Are you here? Okay, great. Amazing. I
Yeah.
thought you actually dropped off. Okay, great. I'm just reading some comments on the chat. Someone says, I'm ready to go global. The world cannot deny your value. I think my question would be starting out. Most times, a lot of people see the glam, like you had mentioned, like the glam, everything that you're doing, and they're actually like not ready to like put in the work. So, my question is, what are some of the challenges you faced as in your early days, starting out your journey as a climate change education professional, and also like diversifying into other things, and what are those challenges you faced, and if how were you able to solve them looking back on your journey, and what do you think that you would have done differently now from them as well?
Um, I think one of the major challenges, of course, will be fear of missing out. Because at every stage, in every year, there's always, one thing happening is either people are moving to tech, or people are traveling out of the country. There's just always something happening generally. And, as a young person, you have this feeling like, oh, I hope I'm doing the right thing. I hope I'm not missing out on so many things. But, I've been able to stay rooted because it's super important for me. Right from the beginning, I knew that this is what I wanted to do. So it just really kept me going. And I know that there was going to be a time where climate change was going to be a very huge public discourse and people would know more about it. And at that time, I would not have to struggle to like tell people that this is what I do or this is what I am. Right. So another thing is that I would say that there were not so many templates, so many things around me I could make reference from. I say not so many because there exist some that I had access to. But there were so many, there were not so many things I could access, especially like in Nigeria, and information about certain things. The other day my friend was asking me about, do I have data on, carbon emissions from transportation in Nigeria, and we could not even find, we could barely find anything, right? So I had issues like that. And what I just did, instead of seeing it as a problem, I decided to just spread my tentacles globally to see what's happening in other countries, what's happening in other nations, and like on the global stage, and just operate from like top down. Right. So that's what I did. And what would I have done differently? I'm not really sure. I don't think I have any like regrets or things I would have done differently. But I think maybe one thing I would have done differently is from the onset, maybe, just do what I wanted to do without thinking how people would feel or how people would see me, right? Because it's super important. So I think that's just it for me.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. Fear of missing out, FOMO, is actually like a really big thing. It's like a big thing. And I also remember also having that challenge. Still now, I still even have it. But it's God that is helping us. So somebody asked on in the comments, which steps can I follow to create a personal brand? Wow. So someone asked, which steps
All
can
right.
I
So
follow to create
I would say logically, if you ask people who work in comms and branding, they'll tell you, oh, these are the things that you need to do. But like for me, is who you are, honestly. That's personal branding. Who are you? Who is Zainab? How do people feel when they come to Zainab? And it's not something that you force or curate. You can't really curate it per se. Because it will eventually jump out. Because I've been in meetings, like really serious meetings with some of my colleagues, and maybe when we travel, and the Temi you guys are saying, I'm a very playful person. When I'm with my people, I'm like super, super happy. I'm very jovial. I crack dry jokes that people don't laugh at and things like that. So when I go out for like when I travel for some of these events, that part of me also shows when I'm with maybe young people and we maybe go out to have lunch. That's taming. You can't brand it. I don't know if that makes sense. So I'm just giving it a name as personal branding, but it's literally who you are and making sure that there's a way people feel when they come close to you. There's a way people feel when they relate or work with you, right? One of the other thing I would say is one of my personal brand trait is that I'm an excellent person. You can beat your chest for me anyway. That, oh, give the job to Timmy, she'll get it done. And the way I've been able to do that is not by saying it's that come and work with me. I'm an excellent person. No, every job that I've taken, I've done it excellently well. So the brand building and building of the personal brand is something very conscious that you also have to pay attention to. But beyond that, looks, colors, I'm a very green babe. I love green a lot. And my work is also in the climate change space. So I love to send a lot of messages with my dressing, things that I use, things that I wear. You find me like in very colorful spaces. So yeah, that's just by the side, but that's not really personal branding for me. It's really about who you are as a person and how people feel when they come in contact with you, your work, or your products. Yeah.
it? Thank you so much for sharing, Temi. Temilade, that was really insightful, especially with the fact that most times in personal branding, I think one of the major clause, this is going to lead me to the next question that I normally hear is that you have to be known for one thing. Like everybody in this world needs to know you for one thing, and that's what we really stand out. And in the course of your presentation, you had mentioned that even though you are working in climate space, other people know you for comms. You also have like personal businesses. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You also have your own personal business that you are currently running. There is also this word that is currently trending online, which is being a multi-potentialite. Have you been able to undo the different expressions of Temilade? And how have you been able to ensure that people when you are actually putting yourself out there, you allow people um to see your light.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not like dimming anything about you. So you're handling every single spaces or every single aspect of you easily. Because I remember that has always been like a very major issue and major problem sharing out your different aspects. Some people want to say, should I shrink being this for this, or should I allow people to know this for this? But for you, I know you at founder of Light and Curtains, you're a communication expert, you're still a climate professional, and also the amazing things that you're also doing. So you guys should send me your questions. So see, I'm asking my personal questions.
All right, I was saying it still boils down to you, right? I was telling someone yesterday that if I become a chemical engineer tomorrow, which is not possible because I don't like chemistry, I will still be Timmy. I don't know if that makes sense. So, me as a person, I'm not changing, but there's always a part of me in that you will see in every business that I do or anything that I do, right? There's you can tell that oh, this is a Temi stuff. This is a Temi's product. This is a Temi's service, right? So I think everything still has to do with you as a person and making sure that every of your expression is being expressed. So if you if I'm in a space where they're discussing business, I know what to bring out. My business. If you're in a space where we're talking about climate change, there's no need for me to tell you I'm making t-shirts. There's no need, honestly. I'll allow you to figure it out, right? And if I'm in a space where they're talking about consultancy, strategy for like climate change and things like that, I would also, talk about it. So I feel like every space, or I know that every space has its own modification and things that you can actually talk about in such spaces. So I always like to say that it's also okay if you feel like you cannot do a lot of things at the same time. That's absolutely fine. Because for me, it's more about building that capacity when I was a teenager and building that capacity even while I was in school. So it really helped me to be able to like think in different directions and also put structures in place. So although I run a business, I'm not fully involved and fully hands-on my business. I have people that work with me. I never even knew that you order the t-shirts. That's how much structure I have in my business, right? So and another thing I would say is know when to start, know when to stop, know when to pause. If something is affecting something major, prioritize. So for me, if you list it right now, what is priority for me at this stage that I am? I currently work as a consultant. That's really priority for me. My NGO at this time is not major priority because we're going through, some changes, some things in the organization and things like that. So it's not necessarily priority for me. If you ask me last 4 years, this will not be the case. So rather than trying to say, oh, what am I, what can I do so many things? Ask yourself, what can I prioritize? Right? What can I prioritize at this point? At one point, when you other things start to come, let me just state it clearly. You get married, you have husband, you have wife, your priorities begin to change. You start hearing things like, oh, I'm going home, I need to go and meet my do you understand? So it's you as a person, you're not changing. Your priorities are just changing over time. Right. So there are times I've also paused my business. When I was going for my master's, I paused it for a whole month till I was able to get a staff. When I got a staff, I kickstarted the business. It's my business. If I'm not available, it's fine. Go and buy from another place till I'm available. So you must learn how to not be pleasing people and do what works for you. So don't do things because people are doing it and then you now overstretch yourself for a capacity that you don't already have. Right. So super,
Mm.
super, super important. Learn to prioritize. That's what I always say. I do a lot of things, but priorities at this point. For now, this call is my priority. There's so many other things I could have been doing, but this call is my priority. So you need to prioritize. That's just what I would say about that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I have learned a lot from this conversation. Thank you so much for doing this with Go Before the Africa community and also sharing your light. Even the fact that you've said a lot of things that I'm taking away from this session. And one thing that you said is shine your light. Like if you're actually off that room now, nobody wants to actually listen to you. So there is actually no need for you to dim your light for anybody. Shine your light, be the best version that you can be, and also be
Mhm.
excellent in every single thing that you're currently doing. So you guys, I hope you've gotten a whole lot from this conversation. So as our checkout, we did check in. So I'm going to do a checkout. As our checkout, let us know your biggest takeaway from this session. What is one thing that you're actually going to start doing in positioning yourself for opportunities? Like Temilade shared, you cannot just be attending events, attending conferences, or as acquiring certificates without practicing it. So it's what's one thing that you're actually going to practice that you're going to do after this session. I think for me, one thing I'm actually going to do is actually share this call on my Instagram and maybe on my LinkedIn. So that's one thing I'm actually going to do, that I moderated this session. So what is one action key takeaway that you're going to do after this session? I'm seeing your comment. Zainab says prioritize, don't overstretch yourself. Amazing. So let us know in the comments what is one thing that you're actually going to do after you finish this session. Staying consistent and being visible. Very important. You have to be consistent. Christabel says stay being consistent. Yes, being consistent is actually very important. Um Being consistent is actually very important. Let us know your comments in the chat. You guys, have you guys not been listening to this session? Let me know your comments in chat. Douglas says, I actually love your personality. Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much. And also feel free, you can connect with our guest speaker on all social media platforms. On Instagram, she is at the Global Theming. That's in case you guys will not do the work. Let me do it. Just go on Instagram, search at Global Theming. Her name comes up. On LinkedIn, her name is her name, real name, Temilade Salami. On Twitter, which is now X, it's actually Temilade Salami and the Global Theming. So on all social media platforms, you can reach out to her using at the Global Theming. And I really hope that you guys got a lot from this conversation and that you are ready to actually implement every single thing that you've learned. Remember, if you want to actually go global, you have to start from now. You have to be disciplined. You have to be consistent. You have to show up and you have to do your work excellently and let people know that you are capable of doing the things that you say that you are going to do. Integrity is a must and it's short season. So, yes, and with that, we've come to the end. Andre says, play the long-term game. And with that, we've come to the end of the second virtual fireside session with GoABitFurther Africa community. Thank you guys for inviting me to actually moderate this session. I've learned a lot. And thank you so much, Temilade, for actually being here. I've learned a lot from you. Thank you so much for showing up. I am so excited to have done this with every single one of you. If you have any questions for the team, do well to send in your questions. And we look forward to hearing from you guys very soon. So that's wasting so much for our time. We're going to say goodbye. Take good care of yourself.